Say something. Mic check.
Oh.
Mic check.
Yeah, we could. All right. Okay. Can you put it on silent? Before I say something, make sure mine is on silent.
No, that's not bad.
Mine's on vibrate, but I'm just going to take it off.
Yeah. Oh, it does. Okay. Emergencies.
Yeah, because the message will come through after.
All right, okay.
Otherwise, it'll just be like buzzing.
Okay.
Buzzing.
If you say so, I could say. But yeah. Welcome to Why We're Not Recording This, episode 10.
10?
Yeah, episode 10, yeah.
Wow.
Episode
Wow.
10. Yeah.
Debut on double digits. What an honor.
Yeah,
Wow.
double
Nice.
digits. But yes, welcome to Why We're Not Recording This, episode 10. And today we've got a guest, and this guest is an interesting one, actually, before I get to the name.
This guest is invisible.
This guest is invisible.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to cut
guest
it.
will not be seen.
Sorry, I'm going to...
Wait, we finished.
Sorry. No,
Thanks for joining us.
I wasn't like in the light, sorry.
Oh, I love when your hand pops into the shot, actually.
Can you see?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a little thing that's flipped up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry, we never really have two takes, but should we make it another take? But I was just fixing the lighting. But now we'll just continue from here.
Just carry on.
We already introduced, but yes, today we have a guest that actually, it's interesting because we actually had a conversation. I think you left a comment in one of our videos, and I thought, a stranger commenting on our videos. This is awesome.
Not a stranger.
So I can wait, before I cut it. No, this is me getting excited on my own. Like, oh snap! Like a stranger. Okay, so and then I got really excited. I was like, Katie, do you know this tag? And you say, oh yeah, I know him. Blah blah blah. Okay,
And then
yeah.
instantly deflated.
Just a little bit, but at the same time. But at the same time, but like ultimately, like the conversation that we had, it just like left me kind of curious as to, okay, so who's this soul that I met? And before I butcher anything, please introduce your name.
Muiz.
Yeah. Okay, Muiz.
Two syllables.
Muiz. That's perfect.
2 syllables. 4 letters in English. 3 in Arabic.
Yeah. Because Arabic name.
Yeah.
Okay. No, like that's the thing. I didn't want to make my own assumptions.
That's okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to make assumptions. It's like, you know what? Let me just ask you before I try to pronounce it wrong, and mess something up.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, today I've got a guest, and Muiz. Hopefully I said it right.
Yeah.
Because I don't like offending people, especially when it's not
Imagine
intentional.
if I got offended.
Imagine if you just
That
got
would
up
be
and
ridiculous.
walked out.
Yeah, like walked away.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's it, guys. Didn't like this, but having you here is a pleasure because to me it's almost like a complete stranger, but we kind
It's
of
our
like
first time meeting.
yeah, exactly. But the conversation we've had, it's a weird one because it's like I know this person, I've known this
Yeah.
person, so whenever it came to the picture that you know Katie or Katie knows you, it was like okay, that makes sense.
Because we communicated online. That's what
That's what I mean. It's like, okay, yeah. Now it makes sense. It's
kind of like
part
a
of the SLAN
weirdly-
community. It's
Yeah.
like certain frequencies, there's some sort of understanding. And since then, we've just had several conversations and whoop-de-doo. Why did I say whoop-de-doo? But anyways, what do you know? We're here having an episode.
Yeah.
And
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for
Real
coming.
honor.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for
feeding
joining
me
us.
too.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, the food is good. The food as always.
Thank you.
A lot behind the scenes.
Thank you.
Yeah. But where do we start in terms of, I guess, how do you all know each other actually? Let's start from there.
How do we know each other?
How do we know each
How
other?
do we know? Well, I'm pretty sure the first time I met you was at the School of Art degree show.
Yeah.
Was that the first time we met?
Yes.
Because that was like I'd known you for years.
Yeah, instantly. Like old souls.
It really was.
Yeah. And I can't remember who led me into the staff room. It was definitely someone who I'd already known before and was communicating with outside on the studio floor.
Yeah.
And then they basically said, why don't you come this way? I'm going that way. So we went to the staff room. And then that was basically where the real party was happening.
It was. It really was. We were being antisocial staff members.
Yeah, but then, that's where I kind of like got introduced to everyone.
Yeah.
And then basically the person who I like vibed with the most was Katie. Katie was just right there.
Yeah.
And
so wait, sorry, I just want to know, this is just human interaction. It's like, what was that thing that made you think, you know what, I think I'll vibe with that person?
it was instantly like, I give hugs and I was like, I'm a hugger too.
Yeah.
And that was it.
But it was always those are the first words. Like I give hugs.
Yeah,
I like
my
we
hugs.
just
first
met
words.
each other.
Yeah,
So it was
was-
like, it was like, hi, my name is.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is. And then, the physical greeting, which is typically like a handshake or a hi, or a wave of the hand.
Because it's a weird, like, a degree show is a weirdly formal setting where you're having a party, but it's like a party at work.
Yeah.
So like the uni is like, there's just artwork all over the uni, and like the final year students showing their work.
Right, yeah.
So it's this clash of like industry people, so like loads of designers from industry, loads of students' parents, staff. It's like a weird pool of people.
Yeah.
And so we were all escaping in the staff room.
So it's essentially.
And then we met. And I love that because I don't do handshakes because I never know where it's going to go. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen next.
What's your cultural conditioning? How do we do this?
Yeah. There's so many variations on it that I don't know.
Is it dap? Is it fib?
Yeah. And
So we went straight in for the.
if you shake hands, how long do you hold it? How firm? Because there's a whole
Is
thing.
the hand over the handshake?
Yeah. Or do you put the second hand over the top of that hand, or what do you do?
Would you hold the wrist or the foot? That's it, exactly.
With the clip.
Sorry, that might thing being rude, but yeah.
So we hugged, and then humor was my main.
that was it.
It was like first conversation we had. I'm pretty sure I don't know how we ended up here, but it was like, oh, so what do you do? Oh, does that like the casual thing? By the end of it was like, okay, if a zombie was chasing you, I'm pretty sure we had this conversation. If a zombie is chasing you to your front door, are you able to open the front door and get in time? And I'm pretty sure we had a back and forth about that for ages, and I like ignored everyone in the room. Like it was.
I feel like you've asked me that question as well. I feel like it's happened
maybe I let
before.
Maybe that's the question that inducts you into,
But this was.
into the friendship circle.
Are you a homie? Or
Yeah,
are you a
but I
phony?
feel like
Depending
this
on your
was.
answer,
Yeah. I feel like this was around. Well, I don't know when you all met, but I feel like you asked that question. This was at Prince's Place. At Prince's Place. It was a Prince's Place. We were leaning over the balcony in the northern corner.
Do you know what? It was probably around the same time when that.
So
when
that's
that
where
came
the
up,
question spawned from.
Probably. Because I think you initiated. I don't think I asked that question.
I wouldn't have asked that question.
Maybe it's
That's such a
maybe I did it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I just thought it was
answer
you.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So no, that's
humor,
That's how
and
we
it was
met, and
there was a whole vibe. Yeah.
Okay, so then I guess the timeline is from sometime last year. Okay,
Yeah.
Summer last year.
Yeah, that's nice. And who would have known? Look at you now sitting here.
No.
Yeah,
That's it.
funny how. Oh, you guys.
Nice.
But no, man. Like, I guess we're gonna address the elephant in the room, especially for people who are watching. And that's it. Thanks for joining. But yeah. Based on your Instagram, so I'm going to keep tying back into that because that's essentially how we met.
Yeah.
Your Instagram doesn't really show your face.
Nothing shows, man.
Yeah, so like my initial thought was like, this is pretty cool. He's quite mysterious of some sort. Interesting. So, but like in terms of the words that you were throwing, in terms of whatever words you're jumbling together in the conversation we're having, it was like very interesting brain though. So then I guess the question is, sorry, it's building up a whole question, but the question is why the mysteriousness, if that's what it is. Sorry, there's no other way for me to
in principle, that's what it is. Like you said, you found me interesting without even like seeing me or meeting me. And it's the same principle like for my work as well. It's like you don't need to see or know me or interpret or interpolate who I am based on how I look.
So based on the judgment,
exactly.
Don't formulate an opinion based on how I present myself.
That's how I wanted my work to essentially communicate itself, and that's why I joined social media, the internet at that time, why I had a web presence at all. It wasn't for social purposes. It was exclusively for work.
Okay.
And so, with that in mind, I just thought, why do I need to put my face out here?
It's almost like let the work speak for itself type of thing.
And also, I'm very conscious as well of like what you're giving up to technology as well, what you're volunteering to technology. And nothing's free. Nothing's ever really free.
You reckon?
So it's all transactional.
So what do you mean by that? About like giving your
you're giving
identity,
your face. Now you're giving your face because with things like artificial intelligence and all the rest of it, it's amalgamating like facial data that it's collecting from people to, bring celebrities back from the dead or that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah,
like
remember the
recreate you
Tupac
guys.
thing? Yeah.
But again, there's the reason it can do that is because there's a data set that's available.
Yeah.
Celebrities is different, they're doing media. But for a regular person, why are they sharing their face with the entire world of strangers that they don't know? Why are they putting their life out there for everyone to see?
Yeah.
It's because that's the currency of that's the new currency basically.
No, it is.
It's more valuable than money.
Yeah.
Because you can do anything with it. And I'm not saying that I thought about that back then, but I was very conscious of
what you're putting out
the
there.
contract that I was entering into by stepping in as a person, as an individual.
Yeah. What are you giving up?
Yeah, what am I stepping into and how far do I want to step into?
Yeah.
I only want to step as far as like my professional capacity.
Yeah.
And so like, people had never heard my voice, people had never seen my face. They didn't know what country I was like based in.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want them to, and they didn't need to either. I was managed to work for as long as I have, like without people seeing my face. Obviously, in more recent times, they've heard my voice now. And obviously, from hearing my voice, and also like from me stating it more plainly, now they know that I'm basically.
You do exist.
You
do exist. Yeah.
So, my question. So, obviously, we're going to go into this a bit more, but you're a graphic designer.
Yes.
Phenomenal graphic designer, may I say so. By Jove, of course. Have you felt that as a designer, with that idea of withholding information, that has like impeded like you either getting clients or has anyone ever like nosed in, or have you felt like you've needed to? Sorry, there's so many parts to this question. Have you ever felt like you've needed to cross your line a little bit in terms of giving someone a little bit more information in terms of building a foundation for your client base?
No.
Oh, simple. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, because again, I'm willing to meet people face to face. I'm literally here in person.
Yeah, it's not like you're hiding, but it's subject to.
Yeah, but it's like, I know you to a certain degree. I know you through our interactions online, and what I've seen of you online as well.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm more kind of old school in that way anyway. It's like I'm happy to meet you face to face.
Yeah.
I'm happy to interact with you in that way.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, when it comes to work too. It's like, of course, I have a phone call with you. I'm not going to put like some Batman like voice
some emoji.
Yeah, it's like I don't want you to recognize my voice. It's like, if I see you at a work event, of course I'm going to like talk to you when I'm there.
Yeah.
I just don't want the wider world that I don't know.
Yeah.
To know
the uncontrollable. You don't want to get into something you don't know how to get out of.
Yeah, it's like, I wouldn't go into like a crowd and just like scream my name and like say, look at me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I think like the internet kind of is a little bit.
Very, very
it's attention based.
I mean, actually, it's interesting. Yeah, you say that from the attention standpoint. I think you're more of a just like, I don't know. It just feels like a weirdly ridiculous thing to do. Because like, imagine doing that in public. It's not even attention. It's like, why would you do that? Everyone would like probably gravitate away from that person because they think, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. We do
but
it in more subtle ways, don't we? We do it in more subtle ways, don't we? Like just how you clothe yourself, how you dress, or how you. Because we're always trying to put out some kind of. You mean you can say that you don't?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not bothered how people perceive me, but then you're dressed in a way that says that.
Yes, that's what I was
you're trying to say that thing, aren't you? Like swag.
So it's
if only you could see.
But that's the thing is like, again, I'm not doing that for other people. I'm doing that for my own personal expression.
Yeah.
So I don't care what the style or the trends are. It's like, I think this will look pretty cool. So
it's down to what do I like.
Yeah, exactly. So it's I think it's that, and even that as well. Like the idea of like dressing for self. It's like that kind of self-awareness. It's come from being forced to. It's like there was a forced form of introspection.
That's an interesting phrasing.
Like on a global stage when I was an adolescent. So while everyone else is finding out who they are as teenagers, I'm doing the same thing. Except,
that's continuous.
Yeah, except like the fragments that make up my identity are now being debated about what they mean.
Yeah.
And by that, in more like, blunt terms, it's like, I grew up during the era of 9/11. It happened like, while I was still in high school. And, so it's like, it's weird of, my generation regardless of like whatever their background is, has always kind of like felt that shift, whatever it was, like technologically with the mobile phones, the advent of the internet from like dial-up to Wi-Fi, like smartphones, like we sort of remember what it was like before and after. It was the same thing with 9/11 as well, like from an identity standpoint, like what the world was like before and after. And so, you know, I was a minority in my school, like numerically a minority.
Yeah.
And then, you know, never really felt it before. And even to be fair, after it wasn't that big a deal, but you certainly felt it in the world. You certainly felt it when you navigated the world.
Yeah,
too.
true. Okay.
And it was because people, sometimes it was curiosity, sometimes it was about interrogation. You know, the motivations you never know.
Yeah.
But the idea is like they're asking you questions that even you don't know how to answer.
Yeah, because I can imagine the shift from your perspective.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why do you believe like, you know, what you believe? Like, what does your religion do?
Yeah.
Like,
you have to justify
Yeah, because for you it just suddenly changed. Like, wait, it was all good just a week ago. So now.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't necessarily a problem with that because again, you can't. I mean, for me, again, in my context, I couldn't. I knew consciously that I couldn't. You know, you can never look inside like someone's mind about what they do.
No.
But when they're like your peers and you've grown up with them for like 4 or 5 years, you kind of know who they are and
there's
like,
a certain,
And so, you know, even though certain lines of questioning would be a bit blunt, you kind of know where they're at with it as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's parroting as well at that point too. So, you know, I always say 9/11 isn't what changed the world. It was the response of the so-called allies that really sort of changed the world for the worse. Because it's how you respond to something that really determines the outcome. You know, it's the same thing that we teach kids as well. You know, if you get bullied or if you get hit or whatever else.
How you respond determines
you
the
can either
outcome.
escalate it or you can de-escalate it. And it's the same thing on a political, national level. And it was entirely escalated. And, you know, millions of people were victims of it. I'm not even talking about brown people. Talk about, you know, like, it entirely reshaped the world. A lot of people ate off that as well, like financially. So, but anyway, that level of introspection at that time really sort of forced me to kind of
be skeptical about.
Not even skeptical, but it made me want to. It made me want to like understand what the answers to those questions were. For myself, not to answer to anyone else. But I was like, I'd love an answer to this actually, like for myself. I'd love to like think about, you know, why do I pray? Why do I read the Quran? Like, why
do I do the things that I do?
Especially as a teenager too, everyone's like to smoke and drink, and it's like, why am I choosing not to drink like everyone else is? And
where did you go for the answers? Like what? Because they're like your formative years, aren't they?
Yeah,
and so a lot in those times, what we do when we're trying to find answers to things that maybe aren't as big as what you're talking about right now, but we look to our peers a lot to find the answer, and we stray away from what our parents are saying and what our elders are saying.
Because like, he's going to understand, or she's going to understand, and we see the similar things on a daily basis.
Exactly.
So therefore,
but where did you go for like trying to figure those really like soulful questions?
Like, I mean, they're like existential questions, isn't it? It's like, why are you like the way
in your
you
formative
are?
years as well?
The things you do,
all that kind of stuff. So, but I mean, that's the thing as well, is that I think I don't know whether it was conscious or not, but I wasn't afraid of not finding the answer to it. I was more just like kind of open to like discovering what the answer would be, and just allow myself to go on that journey. And also as well, not feeling the weight or kind of responsibility to accept someone else's answer as something that I should use as my answer, whether they're from the community, from religiously, whatever. If it didn't make sense to me, then it was like I'm back to square one. You know, but that was the whole but that's the thing as well. I think the intention was like, it's got to make sense to me. Because otherwise, if it doesn't, then how am I even going to use it as an answer in that capacity? And obviously, you know, like then, you know, in adolescence anyway, you're questioning things regardless. You know, you try to find your place in the world, whether it's socially or career-wise, because you're about to head to university and all the rest of it. And I remember consciously thinking that I remember a motivation being that I wanted to have an idea of who I was before I went to university and before before it would get shaped for me in a way.
Yeah.
By being in an entirely new environment.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's a blank slate.
Yep.
Everyone's more adult. You've got more freedom too.
I remember.
And it's like I want to kind of like, I don't need to know who I am inside and out, but I want to have an inkling of like where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yes, because there's going to be a lot going on in front of you. It's like now you decide who you're going to be or who you are, and do you know self?
Yeah.
Okay, so like within that, like, I know it's borderline personal, but it made me think: do you have any siblings?
Yeah.
And like, what's the age range? Because usually people with siblings, it's like, I know what, I'll take a bit of you, I'll take a bit of that.
Yeah,
I rate how you do that, but I'm not going to do like that, like type of thing, like whereby you can reflect or see yourself in them.
I never really asked them about stuff like that.
Interesting.
Not because I couldn't or wouldn't. It was just like, I don't know. I think I just wanted to find more, maybe subconsciously, like objective sources. And again, this is an analog. This is a mildly analog era.
Yeah.
It's the infancy of like Google and the internet.
Yeah.
So it's hard to even. There's not even a data set on the internet that you can really sort of look into to tap into.
What an interesting time to have this existential set of questions.
And there's social media does not exist at that point.
Yeah.
At all. Nothing of the sort.
Yeah.
So even that, in that sense, I'm limited too.
Yeah.
But that's where, like, I think it was beneficial because instead of reading what everyone else was thinking, I really had to like figure out myself and kind of come to my.
It just drove you to you.
Yeah, exactly. I had to really sort of like construct a framework for myself and build the pieces myself, and I think that was really beneficial because it felt more organic. This doesn't mean it's novel or like entirely unique approach, but it definitely felt more natural and I mean, obviously life experience as well helps that along the way. As you grow older, it's something that I still do myself even at like 20 years on. So the idea is more just to keep that process of like an open mind, and knowing that you're constantly evolving as a person, and that happens in every respect too. Happens with your career, happens with your relationships. Why would it not happen with your faith? Why would it not happen with your identity? Whatever way you consider that, whether it's national, or racial, or whatever else it is, you're never a static human being. You're constantly collecting,
learning and unlearning throughout.
Totally. Whether it's through social interaction or you're learning new things or gaining new experiences, you're never in the same position. So why would you always look at the same thing the same way? You're constantly shifting position, which in principle means that your perspective should shift as well. You're either looking at something from a different angle or in front of you, behind you, whatever else it is. Doesn't mean you need to lose it or see it as further away, but you can recontextualize your relationship to that, and you have the power to bring those things back in your vicinity and closer to you, or push them further away, whatever you want.
I know we talk about it a lot, but that's where social media has just stepped in and just muscled that all out of the equation. Because what you're talking about there is so beautiful, and you're talking about this idea of changing your opinion. Which, you know what I mean? Like you can have one take and you can carry that through until something shifts. Everything's constantly changing. Then you can change your mind. Then you can change what you thought about that and recontextualize, like you were saying, what your standpoint was. Whereas now with social media
takes that away.
It takes it away
because as soon as you make the statement, you better live by that. You said it. It's there. It's on paper or whatever.
Call you out because this you tweeted.
Remember last week?
Yeah, remember that.
It doesn't give you the actual chance to actually change. It's like now I've got to live by this.
Timestamped to the T. Whereas what you're talking about is this organic process of you. What did you say? You're finding you. What did you say? You worded it so beautifully.
I don't recall. No. I said words
You said it brought you to you or something like that.
That's yeah.
Whereas now, like what you're trying to do is bring a version of you to a load of strangers that you don't really know.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that version of you is now dictating who you are and what you do.
Now you have to live by whatever you decided or live by that mold or the bracket that you put yourself in.
Puppet that you've made for other people. So I think that's amazing that you've had this journey because it's clearly shown in like just who you are as a person. I feel like
thank you.
I feel like you're opinionated in all of the correct ways. I feel like you have opinions on things. You're open to listening to so many things, but you have opinions. And I know that sounds like
I think it's deeper than the opinions, right? Because this is what intrigued me, and which was the sort of the articulation. Because there's certain ways you can voice your opinion, but there's certain ways whereby that whatever you said actually makes you think. It's not just like a passing statement, if that makes sense. Like, okay, that's an interesting perspective. You're not just regurgitating something that's been said or articulating it in such a way that it's like, I've heard that said like that before. Like, it's like, I guess that's what made it welcoming. Like, actually, to be fair, I think I said to you, like, you know what? We'll probably have you on at some point, and then boom, you're here. So it's
But again, it's energy as well, isn't it? It's just like the same meeting you in person. We vibed off the bat straight away. Even you, like, when we first interacted online, it was entirely text-based, which is completely unemotional. Or like,
read it how you wanna, take it how you want.
We could read each other like from that.
Yeah.
Which is, why I continue to interact with you at that point.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, kind of vibing with Nate here a little
bit. That's
so
true.
It's all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting as well. Like, I know, I'm actually curious, like, what was the first social media that both of you started on?
I feel like I've been conditioned and I've been in the loop of social media since MSN, Bebo.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's like I've been in, but like that's the other side of it though. Like,
that's interesting.
I guess at the time, once again, giving like myself accepting that, we live and we learn. At the time, it was just like, it was friends. Everyone had it. We all had it. Like, it was just like, oh, you have people. Oh, no, you know what? I'll make mine. Like, it's easy. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So it's almost so that's when I got in. Like my first introduction, really, like the likes of MySpace. And then when, like, funny enough, Facebook, I didn't really jump on it until the people server wasn't working. Not that I was checking it like that, but like I was already, in my mind, I was kind of not necessarily concerned with it. And then over time, it's just like, I guess I'll create a Facebook. And I wasn't rushed. Even Instagram, I didn't create, I think I made Instagram maybe 2012, 2013. Like, I think that was late because Lawrence already had his, but like, I wasn't really overly fast, which is a funny thing. Is I was taking photos then, but I was just taking photos for myself, just like, I like taking photos, I'm not paying no mind. And then eventually made Instagram around 2012, I was in uni at the time when I made one, using my BlackBerry, speaking of old phones. Sorry, context, we were talking about phones previously, but that's been my journey.
Clicky
But I feel like in that process, why I had it kind of changed. And it changed when it came to, I guess I wasn't necessarily having it to show off something. It was more so, it became a form of expression whereby I didn't necessarily vocalize opinions. It was just like, I'm going to express who I am. Yeah. Or, you know what, I quite like these, I'm just going to post this. I'm not overly fussed about who likes it or who doesn't. And that's it, really. That's how it started, essentially. Like, and then that's where it is now as well. Except now I see the business side of it. It's like, you know what? I guess I could put my photos there. And I only started my net captures this year. Yes, I was shooting, I was having jobs on the side, blah, blah, blah. But I only started taking it seriously this year in the sense of, in a way, there's an element that's like, are you not late? Are you not? Like, that sort of, but then at the same time, it's like, wait, I don't want to do, exactly. I don't want to feel like I have to do something, or don't want to feel like this thing is dragging me this way. Yeah. I want to feel like I'm in control.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where, that's when it started, really. Like, early 2000s.
You tried quite a few then. You sort of like followed the trajectory.
I have followed the trajectory.
The evolution process was.
I have, but I haven't got TikTok, so.
You are.
But once again, there's levels to it, but at the same time, there's levels to it depending on who you're talking to.
Sure.
Because as far as me, it's like, whoa, you don't have TikTok. And then on the other side, there's you. It's like, I don't really fucks with none of it, really. I just say it as this entity that I'm going to promote this. So there's different levels to it as well. So
we'll get to that because my start with social media was quite interesting. What about you, Katie? What did you
can't leave us on a cliffhanger like
that. We can't leave. I like this. Interesting.
My introduction to, I feel like I learned an awful lot. Because I don't know what our timelines are saying in terms of what what ages we were at
just
what point.
naturally, like which one?
But
you consider social media.
MySpace was my first dive into social media. So that was like
2000s.
playing around with HTML. Like that was the most fun. And you could make your cursor a certain way. So you come onto my page and you would have to listen. You would have to listen to a whole track before you can even Marie, one thing. You have to listen to that whole thing, and then the site will load. Sparkles will fall from the page. And you can just play around with what does what. I spend hours just putting these
Katie's
sites
world.
together. It was Katie's world. So I had MySpace, had MSN and all that kind of stuff. Like the computers nudging in the background, and having dinner together.
And then the webcam,
and then webcam became a thing. I had never had a camera.
I did.
Webcam was a thing, and then I systematically learned about all the dangers of the internet. Like all in one giant hurricane of being a young girl online. It was like, whoa, there's penises everywhere. Like people, I swear to God.
Your perspective
it was so stranger danger. Like we didn't have all of these like be safe online. It just happened. All of a sudden,
like, whoa, I wasn't trying to
all
look
of a sudden there's a computer in the house. And it's like, okay, we're all using one computer. So you have this. And then so from being on the internet, I had my time on the internet. Friends would come around, we'd do sleepovers and stuff like that. We'd just be on the internet. And it was like, there was, it's come back round and it's horrifying to see. There's a thing called Omegle. So Omegle used to be this thing called chat roulette. So when we were like really young, we would have sleepovers, we'd go and chat roulette. And it was just like a pedophile. When I think about what it was like a swamp.
You don't know who you're picking or whatever, it's just boom.
It's like there's young girls here and it was just chaos.
Some of them calling them like, whoa, dude, whoa, shuffle, whoa, next.
At the time, we thought it was really funny, but like in hindsight, it's like, okay.
It's when the internet was Wild West.
Yeah, it was. And then there was like, I think I had Bebo for like 2 weeks, and then all of these like celebrities were like having conversations with me. So I was like, oh, what's she called from Harry Potter? I remember this. Emma Watson.
Oh, right. Yes.
So there's Emma Watson had a Bebo profile, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm speaking to the girl who's in Harry Potter. This is crazy.
But really.
And then it was like, oh, do you want to meet up? And I was like, oh, Mum, I'm speaking to Emma Watson. I'm speaking to Emma Watson right now online. And she was like, what? She's like, get your ass off the internet. Like, what? Like, what are you doing? Do you know who you're speaking to?
Meet up at this park. Like, wait a minute. Why would I meet me here? I thought,
So then I saw like catfishing. I saw pedophilia, and there's just so much chaos stuff. And then I kind of found my feet with the internet, and I was like, okay, I'm a little bit older, a little bit wiser. And then what was the progression? Facebook was a thing. So Facebook was kind of this closed community of like just people you go to school with, right? So you couldn't have access to like all of these creepies.
There was
more control. So it was like school stuff is happening on there, which I'm very grateful that we don't have like social media as what it is now when I was in school, because we just had Facebook. So if someone's going to do your dirty, they're going to do your dirty on Facebook, and there's a long wait.
Someone's going to frape you.
There's a lot, that's going to happen. Fraping.
Sorry.
What's that? A shocking name, that's what it was.
I know, but
and then from Facebook to Instagram, I think that was the jump.
That was
I didn't really have much in between. But the MySpace days, I was heartbroken when the MySpace days were over. And everyone had Tom as a friend.
Yeah, did you have Tumblr?
I didn't have Tumblr.
Yeah.
That was just upload your pictures, wasn't it?
That means yes. That means yes, but he doesn't want it.
But he had an email address that he won't disclose, so you know.
Let me put it like this. I was a bit ignorant. Well, I would say ignorant, but I was just... No, I won't say ignorant. I was a loose cannon in the sense of I just did whatever I wanted.
Internet Wild West, like we said.
It was the Wild West.
Okay, but I wasn't I wasn't out there being rude to people. I just mean I was just doing my thing. I don't give a damn who you are. I'm just gonna do me. It was that approach.
Okay. Well, so then, that's my
first social media was Twitter, which is what's so interesting hearing about both of you, because you started with like MSN. Bebo I've not even heard of before.
Bebo was
you had
chaos.
For me it was Twitter, like maybe 2000 and maybe 7 or 8. Can't remember what year I started on it, and I didn't know what to do with it, because again it was like the first social media platform that I was really using. I never joined Facebook. at its peak as well, because again, I was like, if I'm going to catch up with you, you've got my number.
Hit me up. I'll see you in a
let's
don't understand why we have this middleman.
Yeah, exactly.
I have 200 free tags. Sorry.
Yes.
I've got minutes.
Those old school tariffs, exactly, 100%. When the text count mattered.
Yeah.
Because if it was too long, then it would be 2 texts, wouldn't it? Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
What you said in
might as well just maximize it.
You said in MM.
You know, I was like doing those like too long texts as well.
Like, damn, I know. There's only 3 digits. I can cut something here.
Yeah, exactly.
I can make it work into
Let
one
me just
text.
like say K.
But now K is rude. But K at the time, was like,
people
I'm
were
broke.
saving a lot.
Yeah.
Like, there was reasons for
That's
it.
it, 100%. But then it was like, I was just trying to figure out what Twitter, what to do with it, which is unusual as well because it's not a controlled platform. Anyone can see what you're publishing, typing. So I think initially I used it almost like a personal kind of like creative archive, which sounds really counterintuitive considering like Tumblr and Flickr and stuff like that was out at the time. Those are more image focused.
Yeah.
But I wasn't as image focused even now. Like I was more interested in like whatever interesting articles I'd read about whatever subject.
Ideas.
So I like pop that as a tweet and then add a little commentary like afterwards, and then just like post that up. And I think initially I followed like creative people, and then I totally stripped it back.
Yeah.
And then I started following not political people, but people who were giving political commentary, let's say.
Okay.
And I found that more interesting around 2009, 2010, because it was like a live feed from the world. And that was amazing.
Interesting.
I'd never seen anything kind of like that. Like,
especially when you're saying that you've been looking for like, do you know, like almost trying to justify why you're doing the things that you're doing. So to hear all of these voices
but
now.
I didn't even know like why I was using it. I was just like, let me try it out, I guess, because I don't know what to do with it. But it's just fascinating. You'd hear about global events before they became a news report. So like earthquakes, you'd like hear it from the people, like, it'd get retweeted into your feed. That was the thing. It was really interesting because you didn't have to follow everyone in the world. You just had to follow like a select group of people.
And then
they would bring that information to you as well, depending on who they were following. So it was even better in that sense. Like I didn't have to follow like thousands of people or hundreds of people even.
Dependent on the niche that you're in. So
exactly. And my whole thing was like, I think even if you see my Twitter now, I'm following less than like 100 people, even though I've not tweeted in months and months and maybe even years, I don't know. But the whole idea was like keep the people that you're following low, and just let that aggregate into whatever it is.
You'll see what you need to see.
And that was really fascinating because it was like already kind of justifying something that I'd experienced before, where it's like real life events getting kind of curated into a story and crafted into a story. That was them looking at me like back there because remember I'm invisible. They felt like
no, they can't. I'm sure I can't see.
Around the room.
That's so funny. Like, where's he going?
No, I can see my hand in a bit, right?
Genuinely, can anyone else smell burning?
No, I can just smell the incense.
No, it's done. That was the end of it.
Right, that light just gets really, really hot. So I was just worried that it was on fire.
Sorry.
Okay.
So it was just like an interesting way of like seeing what I'd experienced in high school, but like I guess in the real world as well. Like from other standpoints. You didn't even need reporters on the ground because like civilians were reporting about what was happening. They knew the areas better. They could talk to people. They could take the photographs more candidly. Straight
away as well.
Straight away, instant. And then obviously,
there's no manipulation. There's no middleman. It's like, this is what I seen from my phone.
100%. But then the byproduct we saw of that as well was that journalists have started, or were starting. I don't know about what the case is now. Excuse me. But through the 2010s, they started using those people as, their kind of like currency again, like for their own jobs. I remember, you'd see like under like a really harrowing like footage of someone getting crushed under like, I don't know, rubble or something like that. And all the mentions under there would just be flooded with like, they weren't even bots at that time, but they were like, PR from news firms saying, "Hi, my name's like, Sally or whatever from Sky News. Like, in the same blurb, do we have the rights to
use
this,
footage,
footage in perpetuity?" Like, basically like a little contract agreement thing.
Yeah.
How'd
you feel about that?
I mean, it's gross. It's it's messed up. But again, it's like it's the idea of like you seeing the stuff on the ground, but ethically, it's like how are you going to ask that person that? In that time, but then you would see people replying anyway and saying sure, because they understood the impact of it as well. Depending on, I guess, like the context behind that disaster.
But it's crazy that, isn't it? How like we have these outlets that give us the news. And they give us the news and they give us the sports and that kind of stuff. Weird tangent I'm about to go on, but me and my brother watched a game of football the other day together on the TV. So there was like commentators were on the TV, and then instead of just watching it on the TV, he had these two guys on there, the City guys who say yes a lot. He had those two on, and their commentary was by far superior than the commentary because they're tailored to, they can't swear, they can't say this. Whereas these guys are like,
they are programmed like to say these things.
So they're reacting like real humans, and it's like, why would anyone want to listen to the censored version of this outlet?
I do the same
thing.
Only
say one thing. Why would you not want to just listen to people? It was in that moment I was like, God, that we have so much power as just the people, as just the baseline people, and we just don't really realize that like we could just not have that. Like we could just not have this commentator, and they would lose their minds if they did that. We have so much power. We need news coverage. We don't need these outlets who are like, we'll just tailor what we give them and we'll just do all this.
Yeah, let's repeat them. Actually, no, this is how we want the population to move. Say this now. But
there is no safe outlet, and especially now with AI. And you can generate anything. You can make anyone look like any sort of way. There is no safe space where you can kind of just get some real life information just from humans. So people just stick to the news, where everything's just being tailored to either scare you into something or make you feel a certain way. There is no space where we can just listen to each other as rational beings, because you've either got, it's just too loose and it's like the Wild West again, where it's like everything is like, Instagram is just one big joke. Like it's just funny, isn't it? Like it's just one giant joke. Twitter, I have no idea. You phrase it beautifully. I don't know how to use this. Like I don't know what I'm doing here. But Twitter, I've heard that like there's a lot of porn on Twitter. I don't know why I've heard this before. Like everything's, I was mind blown by that. But like, speaking to someone who was like, Twitter is just this big sexual void of like, you can get all sorts of stuff on Twitter. So it's I thought Twitter
it just depends on what you tap into as well. I mean, I'm not saying that like, maybe stuff like that doesn't pop into your feed or whatever. But, again, even like on the again, Twitter's a funny one anyway, or just even social media generally is a funny one, because I've not really, even like I'm currently on Instagram or trying that out, and I haven't really figured out what I want Instagram to be for me yet. But I think but that's the idea as well, is that you should know what you want that platform to be for you in order for you to control what you're getting from it, as opposed to the other way around and it guiding you into something you don't want to be guided into. Especially with algorithms and all the rest of it. It's like quite tough. I think that's what's like holding me back from really sort of getting a foothold on Instagram, like figuring how to, like whether that's even figure outable, like how to navigate the fact that it's so out of the user and the audience's control because of the algorithm. Like as someone else decides. So there's a middleman always there. That's intercepting that message and who gets that message. So that's quite tough in that sense. Whereas Twitter, you never really had that. I don't know what it's like now, but someone just had to follow you and it was just there in real time and published that way. And again, you could follow whoever you wanted at that time. That's how regular people became, I don't even know what you call it, like, notable.
Like opinion and like based on their opinions and things like that.
I mean, sometimes it was opinion, sometimes it was just their proximity to situations and their already baseline knowledge of something. So, you would follow them about that situation, but then you would trust their opinion moving forward about that country or that type of event happening in future, Whereas, you don't when you watch the news, you're not always like looking for a specific reporter anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe back in the day, you would like, there would always be a specific reporter in a specific place, and you'd always look forward to their commentary on something because it wasn't opinionated. It was just more like you trusted that they knew how to do the research on the ground and not interpret the facts to you, but present the facts to you.
And to be fair, I guess it also gives you that sort of their resume in terms of, okay, they reported this. What have they done in the past? You can just scroll down and see like, oh, okay, this is what, okay, so this is, it vouches for them to a certain extent. So I
but this
that.
is the issue of like, I think maybe like what you're saying now, like where like the idea of social media constantly like coming at your neck for saying something. And I think that's kind of like born from the wrong lessons taken from Twitter. So like I said, like Twitter when it started out was just like an open source like publishing platform for anyone to use in whatever way they wanted to. They could talk about their regular life, they could talk about their real life, they could talk about politics, whatever else it was. And through that form communities and, professional communities, social communities, whatever it was. And the news outlets, through aggregating their content from civilians who didn't have to like follow guidelines, I feel like they kind of like fell into the cycle of like going from presenting facts and objective realities like, video footage, photography, or commentary from different people, to thinking that their existence now needed to be based on becoming a social platform themselves. Which is like, we're not letting anyone come onto our platform to publish what they want to say, but we can have like we can have people duke it out on here. Not that they were doing that on social media, but it's the idea of like, putting like a beetle and a spider in a jar or something like that, and just seeing what happens. It's the idea where they don't even need to know anything about anything. They just need to know how to, kind of make it entertaining in a way. You barely get any substance out of these kind of discussions anyway.
But it's that great debate of like, should there be free speech online?
Yeah, I mean, of course there should. There should be free speech.
To what degree?
Stop. But then, I think if you start to say a degree, then it's no longer free speech.
Exactly.
And that's the issue.
And so are we talking Wild West? You know what I mean? Like, what are the rules online? Should they mirror the rules we have currently operating in society? Because I don't know how well that's working.
Well, I mean, look, anyone can say anything they want in reality. No one's going to like, not like what's literally come out of someone's mouth because it's just coming out of someone's mouth. It's, like, it's not a tangible thing. So just because someone's published it, they're not getting paid like for that. But it's obviously something that all of a sudden people can interact with because now it's a tangible thing.
Someone can take their time and exist with it for a while.
Like it, you can pay it, you can
hear it in whatever tone you want.
You can report it also. But if you're having a conversation with someone, you're not tallying up.
You're given the opportunity to be wrong. Like, sorry, my bad. Like,
exactly.
No,
it's like, snap, I didn't know that it was like that. All right, cheers.
And that's the point of like, like any sort of communication anyway. It's like, you can only have like, people are so afraid to talk about like a lot of things today. And I think they're afraid to talk about things is because there's no trust now in society to expose your own ignorance. Everyone's got ignorance.
You can't make a mistake.
Everyone's got blind spots. Because not everyone has experienced the entirety of the world or the entirety of society in that way. People just naturally don't know about everything about everything. So but then the problem is then if you're too scared to ask the questions, then you remain in ignorance and you might not act on that, but it's the idea that you're not growing as a person then either, which is I think that's more sad than the idea of like kind of
that's a real shame.
Your own ignorance. Like I was saying, like, when I was younger, I was like asking questions that seemed like pretty sacrilege. It's like, why do I pray and stuff like that. But, I came to my own understanding on that based on asking those questions. But, it's the idea of, I don't know, forming your own opinion too. But
Which undoubtedly strengthened your faith, whilst at the same time maybe pushing
But it doesn't even have to be
trying
like a faith thing. It's more like just like how do you learn and grow as a human being? Like, you know, when you're at university too, it's like, you know, recently like, you know, got into the circles of academia now, like, dealing with students. And, you know, when I was a student, it was all about like embracing the fail.
Yeah.
You know, like go big, and not even go big or go home, just go big and just see what happens. You know what I mean? It's like it might not look, excuse me, professional or slick or how you envisioned it in your mind, but guess what? That first iteration means that you've learned some new skills.
Yeah.
You've learned how not to do things and how to do things.
Can we just talk about for a second social media and the impact on students? Because you're teaching design students in
level 3, level 6.
So third year. Yeah, so third year.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to ask you to like please elaborate what the levels mean.
It's final year students.
Final year students, so third year students on studying graphic design, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm also teaching graphic design students. Yeah. And what you're talking about there with you as a student and this idea of like just go big and see what happens. It's uni, isn't it? Like, 'cause what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
You've got the safety net underneath you. What I am noticing more and more now is students, design students, who are too afraid to start making. They talk a lot about what it is that they're doing, but they don't start making. And I'm convinced social media has something to do with that too. This idea of perfection and always seeing the end result and always seeing this thing, which is like this, how did you do that? I have no idea how you did that. And not that much process being shown, really. It's really hard to get students, and I don't know if you can agree to this or not, but like, I'm just finding it really hard to persuade students to start making anything. Designing anything, put pen to paper. Don't put Apple Pencil to iPad. Put pen to paper and just see what happens.
It's afraid to be wrong. It's afraid to create something that's terrible. So or that you deem terrible, but really, it's part of the journey and you learning to. Sorry, you were going to answer the question.
I think it's a crisis at the minute with students. I think massively. I've never seen students more afraid of what things are going to look like, and it's like
you're more informed on that than I am for sure, because you've been doing this longer. Than I have. I mean, when I was at uni, I used to mentor like college and some like let's say first year uni students and stuff like that, specifically from our kind of backgrounds, black and brown, because you know we've always been the minority in those spaces anyway. So it's just more just like kind of opening them to the idea of like there's a pathway here for you too,
and we are here. We do exist in these spaces,
and especially for me, it was more just like you can pick up on your own kind of cultural cues and use that. In this space too, like take the design curriculum but spin it your way as well.
Express yourself.
Marinated.
But absolutely. I mean, what I have noticed is the process side of things. That sometimes there's no process that they've got to show. Because there's no process exists.
Because there was no play.
Or it's because I think it's just a function of software now anyway, where it kind of does a lot more of the work for you than it did before. But again, they don't know that. Because this is their first kind of
so this is
iteration
their
of interacting with that kind of thing. So, they're kind of learning as well, like, what does process even mean? Like, what am I documenting here and why am I doing it? Which they need to know too, because if you don't know why you're documenting your process, then you've got no idea of like, the context of what you're supposed to be recording, or why you're even recording.
Where things could have been made more interesting.
And so I've always tried to contextualize process to the students that I've spoken to as, like I use the quick way of saying it is like it's like mathematics. You need to show you're working out, and that's it. You can't show how you got to the end result, and no matter how intuitive and intelligent that is, you need to kind of show how you did that.
I struggle with that.
But it's because it's laborious as well, because you have to do you have to dismantle what you create. Sometimes
why did you do what you did?
And it doesn't even have to be like a highfalutin, grandiose idea. It's like like you said, Katie. Sometimes it's just showing play, like iterations, like. This was the first idea, this was the second idea, this was the third, this was the fourth. I tried a different process here, I tried a different material there, tried a different software here or there. It's just the idea that your conclusion has actually been
Tried and tested.
Tried and tested, absolutely, yeah. That's
and
it.
That you're saying, so like I tried this here and I tried this material here and I tried this here. I have not heard many students say that for the longest time. We'll have big tutor groups where it's like, bring in all your development work, and people are like, I haven't done anything.
But this is the thing, like you said, with social media.
I think it's the insecurity.
It's like no one really cares how it was created.
Is just
they care about the end
overwhelming
result.
at the minute.
Yeah.
It's all the end result. What you're saying about software is true. Then there's this whole other debate, which maybe is for a different time, but there's this whole other debate about students using AI to generate outcomes and where,
I remember seeing that
is
last
the
year's
line
show,
with that.
which is really interesting.
These AI generated outcomes. Who's the real owner of the work?
I thought that was really interesting though, like with last year's, because I remember, I don't know if one of the tutors explained it to me or if the student themselves explained it on their piece, but that when they got inducted into like, I guess, or had like a workshop or someone came in to talk to them about it, they were feeding the AI prompts. Images that they had generated and then used the prompts to see what the AI would create back out of work that they'd already given it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like a more ethical way of doing it. Yeah. And principally it's what ethically should be done from a professional standpoint too. But I mean, their results were fascinating because I think they understood that the more they added to it and the more wildcards they gave it, the more radical the results were. But they also gave them control over it too. Yeah. Because they fed it a very specific kind of visual set.
Yeah, it's almost like you plant the seed and then it's like, all right, this is what I'm going to use to actually make it grow. So I might use pesticides for this, I might use this and that to make it.
It's a controlled experiment. Yeah. Whereas what we're seeing is students who are just like, oh, I've just AI generated a book cover. Well, no context as to why it would be AI. They're just doing it because it's like, it looks good, doesn't it?
But this is the thing is that if you're not putting, if you are not inputting the data in, then you can't claim the output. Is my point of view on it. Yeah. Because all you're really doing is just like doing a Google image search and saying, I made that.
Yeah, I made this image.
And you had no part in.
Do you think it's a bit snobby of those people who don't do it? Like, well, for you guys, because you can do it and you're sort of comfortable in your skills because you've honed it over time. But then there are those people who feel like, I haven't done that. However, what I'm good at, growing up in the era of internet, is I can manipulate these images and it will give me whatever results I have. However, I might not be able to explain how I got there, but I can tell you that, you know what, I thought, ooh, you know what, I was thinking about leaves today. Oh, okay, you know what, leaves, whatever. Like, I don't know their process, but like, do you not think there's an element of that, like, yo, I don't know no different?
Yeah, that's absolutely, that is the beauty of the environment and like the society that we're currently living in, is that we have this tool in front of us of AI where you can generate an image immediately. How incredible is that? And so like my expectation from a teaching from a teaching perspective, what I expect with that is for them to utilize that in a more interesting way, because it gives them the scope to produce this mammoth-sized amount of work and then condense it back down into something which is more them. So they're using this tool to just make these end results, whereas what they should be doing is seeing that like I have such an advantage coming up at this point where I can use this as a tool to make something way more interesting, or use AI in a way that hasn't been used yet. They can break ground on ground that's never been touched before.
But for some,
still churning out.
But for some, that's kind of like trying to imagine a color you've never seen.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't, like, because there's certain things, like even yourself talking about how going back to social media, there's certain things that you weren't sure about, that you weren't going to do. And like for them, there's certain things. And also you said over time, you've understood more of the reason why you actually didn't put your face on social media like that. So for them, it's almost like that journey doesn't necessarily...
The difference is that I'm exercising process myself.
Yeah.
Whereas they are not exercising.
Their conditioning has been, conditioning has been outcome based.
Doing all the process.
It's been outcome based, not necessarily process based.
That's the issue.
Yeah,
that's the sole issue, that the focus is predominantly on the outcome.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes it's like, I don't really care what the outcome looks like. I just want to see all of this process.
Yeah, there's a beauty in that.
In the space of like a uni and art school, it should just be one massive playground. So just to see this perfect outcome, sometimes it's just like, oh God, I wish you would have just
fucked it up
a bit more. Honestly,
just freak it.
Yeah, but it's hard to get them to do that, and that's the frustrating bit. These outcomes are beautiful. So AI generated, amazing, but like, where is the soul here?
There's the anxiety and insecurity of producing something shit. Yeah. Or something terrible, and actually not accepting that, oh wait, I'm learning.
Yeah.
and not giving themselves a chance to actually learn. That's why it's like almost everything is fast paced.
It's not that it has to be rubbish, but it's the idea of like, learning to fail on your own terms.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
It's like it doesn't look the way you want it to, but that's not a problem.
That's actually a step.
Because the idea is like you're going to get to, what the vision is, but you're one step closer to it now that you've actually integrated it. You know what I mean?
And so I'm never asking a student to come in and be like, have no anxiety in terms of showing their work. Of course you're going to be. But what I expect them to do is to, no, not even what I expect them to do. So I don't expect them to come in without anxiety, but I do think that social media or something is playing a part in like inducing that way more. And just trying to get to it's not even on the students. I'm trying to find out what the thing is or what the series or amalgamation of things are that are making them really, really anxious about showing stuff that doesn't look perfect. Because what does that even mean? So I'm just trying to look for like, I'm looking further down the river at what the thing is down there.
Why do they do the things they do?
Yeah, why do they do the things that they do? Because I can say all I can say about like, I want you to bring me in the most hot mess piece of work you've made this week. And no one will do it because no one wants to go first.
And to be fair,
what's the problem?
And to be fair, we could be wrong about the reasoning. And the reason why I say we could be wrong about the reasons behind why they do what they do is because initially, when I seen that you're being mysterious, I thought, interesting. So my brain went into, wait a minute, I wonder, is it insecurity? Is it, I wonder why? Like, that's what I mean. Like my brain went into that. And then I thought, you know what? Based on the conversation we're having, you wouldn't have started a conversation with me if you're insecure. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? So it was like, okay, so it's definitely not insecurity. Yeah, so that was that part. So now, like, I guess what I'm saying is the fact that we could be wrong based on why they do it that way.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, it would be nice to hear from one of them to actually be like, you know what, this is my unique experience. And to be fair, when I look next to me, that person is so good at it that I just feel like, what's the point of me doing it? That it drives in the opposite directions. You can do, wow. You know what, I'm just going to sit on the sideline.
Go into my shell a little bit.
Do you know what I mean? So there's various reasons, like example, why you don't put your face on social media. It's like, you have your own reasons, because me on the sideline, like I said, I was just like, quite interesting. And then the words he's typing, interesting human. What the hell's going on here? And then it's like, there's an element of, this person is actually safe and secure in who they are as a person. And there's an element of not doing what you feel like you have to do, but doing what you want. Yeah. Which I kind of appreciated.
On your terms, and that's it. Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even like, from the process standpoint, it's like, I think it's good for them to see in real life, like, how they came to a conclusion as well.
Yeah. And you've been doing some interesting stuff on social media, speak of the devil, because you operate as a freelance designer, but then also you run Rice and Gold.
Yes.
With Johnny
Wan.
Sorry, what's that?
Johnny Wan.
Please take it back. Reel it in.
Can you just explain what Rice and Gold is?
Yeah, so Rice and Gold is basically a new studio that Johnny and I have formed. Okay. It's basically an outlet for us to have the creative expression or the freedom of creative expression that we felt we had when we were at university, without putting our names or faces forward on it. So that's a big thing as well. Not for the same reason that I have, but principally to open up ourselves to a wider variety of creative projects. Because they're not hiring an illustrator, they're not hiring an art director, they're hiring a creative studio that deals in art direction, specifically with a focus on cultural ownership as well, like working in those kind of spaces and places. And I think personally, just for me and Johnny, we were just thinking it'd be great to do something together as well, because we're so used to working principally solo, and then jumping into different teams and all the rest of it. Yeah. And we'd always got on since we graduated, so we just thought, why don't why don't you and me actually like do something and start something?
Fuck it, why not?
Yeah, exactly. So, we'd spoken about it for quite a few years, and then we actually launched it the week of lockdown, coincidentally. We launched on a Monday, then the UK put us in a national lockdown on the Friday. So we're like, oh, this is great timing. And it actually worked out for the best because, we got to reevaluate, okay, what are the goals of the studio? How do we describe ourselves? What kind of jobs do we want off the bat? And also, just like loads of other businesses, develop like a remote workflow,
learn the process.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So it worked out in our favor. We've done really well. So
because that's the first time I ever came across you guys' work. Was you did the School of Art degree show branding, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So for the
huge job
for the BA show and the MA show,
massive job. It was amazing.
Oh, thanks, Katie.
It was really
nice.
Cool.
It was our kind of induction as well into the Manchester creative scene as well, in terms of finding our first round of like regional collaborators too. Because we've got a big regional focus as well, to try and find like whether it's a printer or some kind of like specialist producer, to principally find them in the Northwest first and foremost, or the Midlands, and then if we can't find them there, then look farther afield, like the capital or abroad.
But really, charity starts at home. I hear that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but also as well, I mean, there's so much, heritage talent here as well. And, there's a big influx of, like internationals and like people from London as well, moving up into these kind of areas. And it is starting to kind of push or price out a lot of the local talent who haven't quite found their foothold yet.
Yeah.
So, it's quite important for us as well, I think, like to build those connections. Because, that's where we study. That's where, it's the region we know the best.
Yeah.
You're
trying to make your stamp where you are.
Yeah.
And so like you've started posting for the past couple of weeks actually, just some of the images of the behind the scenes. I've loved seeing that. So you've been posting the like some of the initial sketches from the All Eyes on You School of Art degree show. So there's like pencil sketches.
Please link me the page.
Rice and Gold on Instagram. We will put it here. Nate's gonna have to like timestamp that. Every time I do it, it's like here's another.
So now I've done like 3 times. Should I put on the first one, the second one, or third? Actually, no. I might use the third one for emphasis.
Every time it's got to be
I'm not gonna do that again. Rice and Gold. Oh god, I so got distracted. You're like behind the scenes shots of like how you did that branding, which is a huge job, but like what some of the titles were going to be, what the School of Art was asking you to do, and how you responded to it. And I think that as a studio, for you guys to show that process is invaluable. Like even we say to students, but to me as a designer, it's like, oh, you can just share all this stuff. It's the stuff that makes you superhuman, like makes you really human. It's like, oh, these guys are sick.
Exactly.
It's been amazing to see.
I mean, again, it's like, what's your, I guess, like what you kind of value your currency as. And so like as a studio, it's not just outcome for us. It's like, come to us for the way that we think as creatives and what you're going to get from us. And also, just for like the fun and the laughter and the good food that you're going to have when you're around us as well. We're well seasoned over there. I think we can say that in our bio as well. For well seasoned work, like come see us. But it's that idea of not even like being guarded about it, but it's like we're proud of the way that we create, and so it's not just about showing the finished product. It's like, how did we get to that? And and just being proud of that process. So like you said, it's all the not even rejected. It's like the plethora of titles that we came up with for the show that we were really proud with, so we felt kind of spoiled for choice. And it's like, well, let's let everyone have a look at like how like ridiculous some of these are, how funny some of these are, how like appropriate some of these are, and so it's kind of flexing in a different way. But kind of just just being open about it. I guess
it's a really smart flex. It's hard to show someone on social media how you think
Yes.
Without trying to look or do what everyone else is doing
Exactly.
because like works. They've got 20,000 likes, so I should do it this way. And
I
he's
should
just
try to
doing it
conform
in
to that, and maybe I'll piggyback off that.
So what you're doing is showing potential clients that I think the same way as them. Like we can make a nice looking outcome.
And you can see even on the MA one that we uploaded, that you see us kind of come to like a polished, finished solution that we never even used.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the idea of you're kind of showing what you're capable of as well in that same capacity too.
These guys had like this beautiful black and gold
Rice.
branding.
Oh.
Rice.
Sorry.
Rice and gold.
Sorry. I was listening.
There's this black and gold branding with this like crown shape, and they got vinyl put up against all of the lifts as you came in. The lifts had never looked swaggier in the whole time I've worked in that building. It was such a nice patch of branding.
We were so lucky. Like we didn't realize until like I think towards the end of the academic year that they'd kept it up. It was like they'd kept it up that entire
it's because it looks so
year
good.
after until the next degree show because they liked it so much.
It looked amazing.
That's nice.
So we were like super honoured about
it. That's amazing.
Yeah. But that's Rice and Gold,
Yeah, man.
Okay, no, I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah.
So is it just Oh, come on!
I've been doing it this whole time. Like,
it's just gonna keep flashing.
That's it, exactly.
Rice and Gold.
No, that's sick. Sorry.
No.
But no, so you said it started in 20. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
We officially launched in 2020.
2020. So that's what, 3 years old now, give or take.
Yeah. We're learning how to crawl now. We're on our feet.
Have you said no to anyone?
Say that again.
Have you said no to anyone as a job has come up? Like, has there been anyone that you're like, nah, I'm not working with you?
Not on Rice and Gold.
Oh.
Are we talking about me?
Talking about in general, Rice and Gold, or?
I've said no.
Okay.
We both said no.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What usually triggers the no? Is it how the person articulates their words or how they feel when you're on them?
I mean, it depends really. I mean,
is it time
have either of you ever said no to a job or a project?
Oh yeah, I have said no.
Yeah,
I've said no because just time. Like, I feel like you know what? Yeah, it's just what I feel like my time is better used and doing ABC. Sorry, folks, if you do watch this. Sorry, it's not personal. It's not personal, but yeah, like for me, it's usually time. Well, actually, as well as how I feel around the person, because usually, if I'm going to work with someone, I'd rather meet you face to face. Like, yes, we can talk via messages, but let's just kick it for a minute.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I won't necessarily. If I just show up there like through messages, like you're right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not vibing with you. We're not.
It's still a relationship at the end.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, absolutely is.
And
I have said no, mostly because of time. The time is probably the most important factor, and also if it's the council. I don't work with council anymore, unless it's a passion project. Because I've just said that and I'm currently working with the council, but on a project which is like totally nobody made it. I just want to use this area as a playground.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
But again, it's on your terms.
But yeah, I won't work for any council based on just working with the council once before, which is the worst project.
All right, so it's based on, it's not necessarily just political
it's
reasoning.
based on past experience of working with the council because
gotcha.
you will agree on everything. Okay, this is how much you were going to pay. This is what the job is. This is what this is, and then they will just take the piss. That's what I've known because there is so many different hands in the pot. They're not even taking the piss on purpose. They're taking the piss by accident because there's so much miscommunication.
Yeah, someone has an opinion, someone else has an opinion. Someone didn't tell someone else that the thing has changed.
Someone's now on maternity leave, and then someone over here is picking up, and they're spelling my name wrong, even though it's the easiest name in the world. That I just don't like. So any sort of council or someone who's too big.
There's no heart. There's
hit you
no
with
soul.
a Q in it. There's a W in there as well. It's like, how is that? Yeah, I need someone with a heart and a soul and someone's eyes I can look into and not
someone human.
Not a team of 50 who are all trying to make these decisions and they're getting me to try and design whilst I'm not even decided on a thing. So yeah, and to be fair, recently I've said no to quite a lot of projects because I haven't wanted to. I haven't wanted to do work for anyone else. I've got stuff that I want to do. Which is a point of privilege, massively so, to be able to be like, I just don't want to.
Yeah, totally.
Massive, massive privilege, which I'm very grateful of. But yeah, I just haven't wanted to do projects for anyone else.
Your time, the way you spend
Yeah, and that's the most valuable thing. Like that,
Absolutely.
you couldn't pay me that much money to be like
more time.
to sacrifice time. Exactly, I'm not going to get any more of that. It's just going down. So yeah, I have said no.
You should just trigger 2 phrases in my head.
Oh God.
Okay, well, one of them is saying yes to something is actually saying no to something else.
Yeah.
So choose your yes and no's correctly.
Lovely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then the other one was, this is Macmillan. Okay, so the first one is actually, I was listening to some Stoic video this morning, like the Daily Stoics. Yeah, I'm only coming back to my groove. I lost my feet. But I'm sorry, coming back to my feet. I'll ask you a question, actually. Like, what's your daily routine? Sorry, second phrase that popped into my head. Time is...
he is everywhere.
I am sorry, that's just how my brain works sometimes. But yeah, the second one is time is love's best currency. So much as how you spend your time is actually love's currency. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, those are the phrases that were triggered in my head.
Great phrases.
They were lovely, you know. Don't just race past them.
Yeah.
Just think on those for a minute.
Can I let them marinate? They've been marinating in my head. Like, I'm ready to cook. Yeah. I'm ready to chef up.
Yes.
How are you going to soak cash? That was lovely.
Oh, all right. Okay. So I guess I remember them for a reason.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Really.
Yeah, thanks for that.
No, it's because you mentioned time, and then I thought, you know what, time is a funny thing, but I guess it is love's currency to a certain extent. It's like what you invest your time in dictates what actually, it'll tell you what you care for and what you love. So someone might, because words are easy, like, I love this, I love that, I love that, cool. So if we take today, how would you have spent that day? Like, how much of it did you apply? Which brings me back to your interesting brain. It's like, what does like in terms of, because I feel like you're giving me, I don't know, blame Katie. She introduced me to Stoicism.
Okay.
She said I was quite stoic.
Yeah.
I didn't know what Stoicism is. And then I'm still there. I got stuck there, just learning different philosophies.
Did you agree with that then once you looked at the definition?
No,
He did, yes.
No, I was beefing with it at first because I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, well, not beefing essentially. I was just like, I'm not going to confirm.
Remember, it's just a word though as well.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's why I took it out of
the description aligns, then it's interesting. You can always find another word.
There's always...
more comfortable.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, Stoicism, I think it's easy to find if you're just searching for that label. But as far as what follows, we take information as we want.
Yeah.
But coming back to you now, you are giving me similar vibes. I don't know if Katie was feeling the same thing. And which is going to go like the Stoicism sort of stoic or sort of philosophical, let's say that, rather than Stoicism. Okay. I'd say quite philosophical. So like now my brain goes into, what does your typical day entail in terms of I'm going to tie it back to your curiosity when you were young.
Is already...
Do you know what I mean? Like based on your curiosity when you were young, in terms of why do I do this and that, is that still carrying on in terms of just like your daily?
I don't have like a typical day. I think that's just like by virtue of my career, I think.
Yeah.
Because, I don't have like, set hours. I don't have a set, like group of people I work with and all the rest of it. I don't even have like fixed hours because, I'm not always working to the time zone that I live in.
Yeah.
So I don't have a set routine in that sense.
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah, well,
that's okay.
That's a good answer because it's giving me a sense of I do what I want.
Yeah.
Based on what's on the table.
I guess so.
And I dished out the table.
All right, you can think. Okay, that's an interesting way to interpret it. Yeah, it's more just like. I mean, you know what? That's one way to look at it for sure. Yeah. I don't mean it like in that sense though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean it in a flex or like a stunt in kind of like braggadocious way.
Yeah. No, like take that out. Just it's you speaking your truth. It's
no, for sure. Yeah. But I'm thinking now, like
societal terms.
How do you describe a routine? But I think this is where I don't have a routine, but I'm hyper organized. So I say
some sort of discipline.
So my routine is to be hyper organized because of that. Because I don't have a routine.
So it's elements of understanding your priorities.
Not necessarily, but it's that hyper-organization. Like I can be organized. You can be organized once, and that can function for a length of time because nothing's really like getting thrown at you from left field to disrupt that process that whatever you've just structured. But I have to be hyper-organized because there's constantly things changing for me.
Yeah.
Whether it's a new project or like a new time zone or whatever it is.
You're certain amendments here and there that you need to jump on quickly before this.
Not even in the sense of within a project. It's more just like, you can have a project that lasts a day, you can have a project that lasts a week, a month, multiple months. You can have overlaps, you can have to travel, you can have to focus more on a very particular type of creative process, which involves maybe more analog than digital or more digital than analog. There's like, the variables are infinite, but that's where the hyper part of the organized comes in, because it's like, I constantly need to come up with a new organizational system in order to maintain a structure as new variables come into play, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
So that's
where you're really similar, by the way.
Is it?
I'm just sitting here as a ball of chaos. Like.
No, I'm sort of clocking that just from the way Nate's like rubbing his chin.
Yeah.
It's like him looking in a mirror. It's like me.
And I'm just literally like,
sorry.
Yeah, that's why I was like trying to think like, do I have a routine? And I don't, but my routine is to be hyper organized, to constantly like try and build a routine.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no.
So you're constantly like structuring stuff.
Yeah.
Again. But me constantly doing that makes me feel like I've got control.
Yeah.
Over my time that way.
Because without that, you could just slip into this. Just everything just feels overwhelming. You could just be constantly overwhelmed.
Otherwise, you're just kind of getting like jolted by the current. And,
And it's like, wait, am I on autopilot or am I doing what I want?
Exactly. Because you still want to have control over the time that you do have, which is like your free time to socialize, your free time to just, I don't know, be alone and just like chill, to read or whatever, or just to process like your own kind of thoughts and stuff like that. So kind of organizing those kind of left field variables is, or trying to organize those left field variables. Yeah, that's my routine basically.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm doing a lot of squinting off camera because I'm trying to think.
No, you could. Yeah, you could. No.
They're seeing all my funny faces.
So like, I guess expanding from that. So is there sort of like, so what's your sort of, let me see, I want to say discipline, but not necessarily discipline, because there has to be some sort of consistency that you apply in whatever you're doing. And that's what I'm trying to like get into or understand that. Do you know what I mean? I hope you do get what I mean.
By discipline, what do you mean?
Okay, discipline in the sense of, I'm the type of person that will focus on this until it's done, or then and then I'm going to move on to this.
Same.
However, in the midst of that, it's like I need to find a moment whereby I know myself I need to come back to earth.
Yes.
So that's allowing time.
Disconnect from it.
Yes, disconnect from it and allowing yourself time to come back to earth, and then also readjust in terms of, okay, so example, I have days for randoms. So I always switch up my week. 1 week I'm supposed to do this. 1 week I structure it this way.
Okay,
And then the following week I'll just feel like I'm getting pulled everywhere. I feel like now I'm living by that schedule. No. Scrap everything.
Yeah.
Let's change what applies on that whatever day. It also to some extent keeps the mind interested.
Yes.
So I guess what I'm getting at is I feel like for me, where I get better at that from, or what teaches me that, or what opens me more to that, is the likes, let me say, sometimes I'll be like, no, I'm fasting today. I just decided to fast. And it's also one way of me changing the rhythm.
Yes.
So that's what I mean about what's like, that's the discipline I'm referring to. What's those little nuances that are applied that make you
I get it. I think my way of describing it would be kind of jumping off how you describe it, which is like focusing on a task to completion, whether it's the entirety of a task or segmenting it down and distributing it over a particular period of time. And then anything outside of that for me is random. So that's how I treat it.
Okay.
Like my free time is my free time.
Yeah.
Universally. But my like go time.
It's go time.
Yeah.
So you have definitive on and offs where it's like these are the things I'm doing.
Yeah, when I'm performing a task for sure.
Yeah.
When I've got stuff to do, absolutely, yeah. Because it's just more efficient.
Yeah.
Because
even an example for the camera before where you both were like, oh, that's something that I do as well.
So it was just a moment.
So when like I was finishing cooking the food, you were setting the camera up, lights up, all that kind of stuff, and then you went and got yourself some food and came back in here, and then I heard this little conversation that was like, oh, you finish a job before you go and
sometimes
you weren't like when food until this room was fully set up, you know.
Because it frees your mind then to kind of like not think about the task at hand, which is how you describe it and how I feel also. It's like kind of exercising it out of your brain to give yourself more headspace to, I don't know, think about whatever else. Otherwise, it's constantly there in my mind. And I'll constantly be thinking about not necessarily doing that task, but maybe ways to do that task or something like that. And that's what I don't want. I want that to be done, and then I can check that off. It's unless I do actually need like time to think about it, then I'll
allowing a little flexibility and understanding.
Yeah. But the idea is that I will think about it. I will still be processing it.
Which takes me away from the present moment, which means I'm no longer present into that. Like even if I'm eating, I'm thinking I should be putting that there. Now I'm not even enjoying the food. I'm elsewhere. My mind is I'm just on autopilot. I hear that.
I'm the kind of guy that if you tell me to do something, I'm going to do it like that second, so that I don't have to think about doing it later.
I'm the opposite of that.
Yeah.
So like the white noise. Seriously.
Man, I wish I could have a foot on that side of the brain hemisphere.
No, it is chaos over here. To be fair, I lose everything. I lose everything. That's the one.
That's I only want one foot.
Not the whole. Just one, just a toe.
I'm walking around the room, and be like, where did I put the thing? Like that's my one biggest waste of time. Is just I lose things a lot. Like I'll just misplace things all the time. Everything else all gets done and all get done on time. Just things get lost on the way. Other than that, absolutely fine. Total opposites, but
Yeah, no, slide.
I mean, everyone's got a way of working, though, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. It's not one size fits all.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's. I'm not sure if we should go to music or not. I'm sorry, my brain is just like. I'm triggered.
I think we could do this podcast and just do topic by topic. I think we've talked about so many things that could have been the whole, could take the whole episode. Even just AI and design, that's could have been one whole thing. So I love the conversation. Music, man. Music.
Yeah, so no, but I was also thinking about Rice and Gold. I'm gonna rate that. I haven't seen it, but I kind of like the fact that you are showing the process, which means you're not necessarily being a hypocrite as towards the students. It's like, you can look at the blueprint. Like I was transparent with mine, and this is where I'm at.
I mean, you don't have to show it publicly.
Yeah,
but the idea is that. Go through a process.
The value in it.
And everyone's, again, just like we said now, in terms of our brain process, everyone's process will be different. Some people's will be more they'll have tons of annotations and minor visuals. Others will be completely visually focused. Yeah. Everyone's got a way of showing what it is and how their brain functions on paper in a way that you can see and rate. But again, like I said, we see that as a part of our currency in the sense of you're not just hiring us for the aesthetic, which we don't have a house aesthetic, which again is a part of the point of this studio. Okay. You hire us for the solution that's best for you, and we will come up with that solution for you intuitively. Yeah. But just understand that there's there's a process to anything, and we enjoy that process as much as we do. I won't say as much as anyone. And so, as long as you're kind of willing to go with us on the journey of that, to explore and experiment and find new solutions, then we're the guys for you. And if not, that's cool. There's
it's you enjoy
no
the
love lost.
Yeah.
So you enjoy the process as much as the client's going to enjoy that end result.
Yeah,
that
totally.
That is a fair share of what a designer should be doing. The process is the best part.
Yeah.
So if they enjoy
hopefully that's why you're doing it. You do it because you love the process.
Yeah.
So if there's a client that's willing to excuse me, take the journey with you, or just go on a journey themselves, and they're like, they don't know how to get from A to B, and it's like, well, look, we can go to A to B with you, and we can, take on a little detour this way.
Yeah, embrace the unknown.
That way,
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
But like kind of subconsciously, obviously, it's you can't like describe it that way, because then clients just gonna be like, what the hell are these guys like?
It's like, don't worry, my intentions again.
Well, I mean, again, the creative community are responding to it in the way that we kind of hope for. So that's the fact that Katie interpreted it that way is like fantastic, because that's kind of what we want. Students or not, it's just the idea of like, this is where the way we're thinking.
Showing it to a lot of students as well.
This is a peek into our process, and we're learning as well. Like I said, we're so used to working solo, and now we've got like a partner to like actually bounce ideas off, and, all the kind of creativity and the conflict and the conversation that comes from that. And it wields like really exciting results, because it forces like me and Johnny to take paths that we wouldn't normally go down, which is half the fun, because that's what we want.
Yes.
We don't want to just go like down the beaten path that we normally go on.
Because it gets boring really quickly. Really quickly.
Absolutely. So this is like I said, the best analogy for us internally was like, we want to, it's like a sandbox for us again all of a sudden.
Yeah.
There's no reputation to uphold. It's not Muiz and Johnny's studio. It's Rice and Gold. That's the studio that you're hiring. And we just happen to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So it's not leading with our names. I don't even think our names are on the website.
I don't think your names are anywhere.
Our faces are there, illustrated.
Like SLAN.
But our names are not there.
Yeah. No, it's funny because, well, to be fair, there's a lot of parallels that I'm drawing from that, even just you and your partner. Because, when SLAN was created, we didn't necessarily want to show our faces. We wanted it to just be their cartoons.
What was your motivation behind not showing your face?
It was don't judge who we are. Because, me, myself, I can speak for myself precisely in the sense of I'm often the guy who's often misunderstood. Or people make a judgment like, oh, he moves like that, or he wears that. He probably does this, he probably does that. It's like, I was always just judged from the surface, almost as long as I can remember, or as long as I've socialized anyway. So it was like, you know what? Take that out. However, it's the meaning, not necessarily the faces. And take that what you want. It would be nice if you didn't know us, but at the same time, we've moved to times whereby we've had to embrace that. Like, you know what? Our generation, we are in social media, and because we didn't even want to model our own stuff. We didn't want to, we just wanted it to just be this. Like, that's all people knew.
I need to show Nate your logo. Sorry, carry on.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, but so that was initially what it was, but over time it was the acceptance of, you know what, there's a lot more that we're doing, like it's deeper than the clothing, because like I was telling Katie, the conversations have been in existence for a while, but there's an element of not sure or whatever. So like personal growth, because
just going on that journey with yourself.
Exactly, and appreciating the journey. Wow, that you're weird. That's weird. Sorry.
Just looking at this icon.
Yeah.
And
this is our logo.
There. Like, come on, man.
That was the first thing that me and Johnny ever created.
This logo together?
Yeah. Our self-portrait.
Yeah, so what was the first thing that you and Lawrence created?
Yeah, this is the first.
It's based off like a little biro sketch that we did together in a cafe.
Yeah.
And then we're like, right, let's digitize this, and this can be our first piece of work. Before we ever got a job.
It's beautiful little line drawing.
This is weird. I thought you was cool, but now it's like, wait a minute. Wait, what?
All black and brown people think the same. All roads lead to our faces.
We're trying not to go down the beat.
Things happen for a reason.
Lead to our faces.
It's sorry, it's just like just a little bit. But no, I'm good. Sorry, yeah. We can go to music, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna have another conversation in the future, because this is only the start.
Nice.
Yeah, because I like your brain chemistry. Like I said, you're interesting, dude. Actually,
come
I'm
on.
gonna. No, it's not
From
even
an engineer as well, no less.
No. I'm not even trying to. No.
Catch me one day like Hannibal with my like skull cap like up and Nick like poking around up there.
No, it's not validation. It's just like my brain is just
No, I
intrigued.
appreciate that.
Like it's
Yeah.
like, and to be
Appreciate
fair,
that. Thank
one of the things that I do is just be transparent and say what you mean and mean what you say, and really do like I said, it started off from the conversations. I thought,
Yeah.
he's multi-layered. It's not just like, sorry, I'm just getting started. He's like, interesting human.
Just like we talked about seasoning before. Let him marinate.
Let it marinate.
Marinate.
That might be the title. So I need to start doing this with my hands.
Yeah, I'm not here. I'm just gonna blur out your hands. No hands this
I'm just
time.
going to start doing it right.
But no, like
Track of the week. So we do this with it's become a thing now.
Yeah, it's become
we
a
just
thing.
we just like to hear what you've been bumping this week.
what's resonated.
Yeah, what resonated
Yeah.
music wise or
I'm gonna have to,
sound wise.
I'm gonna have to cheat on this because
Who you cheating?
there's like there's a lot of music that I've got on rotation right now.
Yeah.
The thing I'm gonna pick though is a poem that's recited actually by the poet that did it, so you can listen to it at least as opposed to reading it.
Mhm.
So hopefully that counts as audio.
It counts.
Yeah.
And songs are poetry anyway. Let's be real.
Yeah.
You know, not even put the poem as like just a post, like just have it there. Just
Yeah, I mean, there's yeah, you could
it's
do,
just
yeah.
like food for thought.
That's it.
Oh, she's doing it. Just means more work for me.
That's it.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
I actually re-listened to it about 6 months ago, and it was like after quite a number of years. It was the first poem that I ever read or heard that made me understand like the power of poetry, and it's a poem called "First Writing Since" by Suhair Hamad, who is a Palestinian American poet, and she debuted this poem on the first episode of Deaf Poetry Jam.
Oh, I remember that.
Season 1, episode 1. So you know the whole of like peak 90s hip hop R&B community saw that first episode, and I think she might have closed that first episode. I'm not sure. I never saw the episode in full, but I saw that clip and it like blew my mind. Yeah, so you've got to watch that performance and you've got to listen to those words.
Do you digest it differently now from the first time you fell in love with it? You know what I mean? Because I feel like certain things, it's like I have my mantra, like I said before. I feel like over time I understand it differently. It's like, whoa, like I thought I understood this, but now it's like, whoa, it's taking a different form. It's like what? Actually,
I totally get that. I totally get that. The interesting thing with that is that the only thing, and it's maybe why it was so accessible to me at that time as well, because it wasn't so overly metaphorical or abstract, which is what sometimes poetry can be.
Yeah,
it really kind of stated the emotion and feeling on its sleeve.
Yeah,
but the metaphors that it used, and also as well, I think because it wasn't a poem out of time or context, I mean, spoiler alert, it deals with the event of 9/11 at that time and the aftermath. And this is from a New York native, someone who was born and raised there. And he was around the New York community at the time of that happening and the aftermath. And it's such an incredible piece of work in whatever way you slice it. And even if it's not about that event, it just kind of like, solidifies her as like, just a master wordsmith. Like, the way she creates imagery through the way she like, poetry as well, like, it's not prosaic, so you've got to choose, your words carefully because you only got so many words to use. It was just incredible. It blew my mind. I remember hearing it and like, everyone I knew at that time I sent it to, and I was like, you have to watch this. And I've got a really, really like special relationship with her now as well, which is like that, even that alone. So like that's the one. First Writing Since. specifically the one where she performs it on Def Poetry Jam because it's updated, apparently from a written version.
Okay.
But incredible.
Yeah, no, definitely check
She's
it out.
prolific as well.
We'll definitely check it out.
Yeah.
She deserves her flowers.
Yeah.
She's done all the big things.
Flowers we all give.
TED Talks and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then she's got like a heart of gold to me as well on top of that. Yeah.
I love that answer.
Yeah, that was
usually we have to push people a little bit to get the real juice out of what they're trying to say, but
if I hadn't thought of that though,
articulate.
we'd still be umming and ahhing, or I'd be umming.
That's all right.
About like, oh man, okay, well we're doing this track or that track because I remember from that time, or you know what I mean.
Yeah. That was a lovely answer.
But that one I think is one where like, you know, no matter how I'm feeling, it was like one of those like, it's weird. It was literally like a point in life where it was like, okay, that's like there's a little X there because that was a special moment when I saw that.
It's timestamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that was.
It will take you back every time. It's like your portal, isn't it?
Totally.
Some tracks, some poems, some art is just a portal to like a different time when things were just.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Certain smells when you just walk past it. Whoa. Like, you can't even describe it. It's just like you just have to be there.
100%. Yeah. I mean, for me, I'd say, you know, I don't think it's hyperbole for me to say that was life changing in that moment when I heard that. And I don't say that lightly. You know, there's loads of like seminal like media that we consume, like music and films and stuff that you've never ever seen before.
Yeah.
But there was something about that poem in particular, especially coming out like so close to that time as well, being performed in that city to that audience.
Yeah. Poignant.
Yeah.
Poignant, but also like brave for everyone involved, specifically like her as well. And also the people like, you know, who brought her in to say that this is something that we want to be associated with.
Go for it, yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, everyone knew the energy around that
touchy subject.
Yeah. And when you hear that poem, no one, trust me, no one was talking like that at that time in any kind of way. Or at least getting the platform to. So the fact that she did on a stage like that, and it went worldwide too. And the fact that like it's still...
I mean, it's on Def Jam, so that's quite... It was a popular...
Yeah, I mean, Def Poetry Jam was like massive. You know, it's Russell Simmons. It's at its high, you know, it's the Def Jam name as well. At its high, you know, for music and comedy.
Yeah. Because I remember the likes of DMX, Mos Def,
absolutely.
Talib Kweli, there's notable names that were there. So
absolutely. And, you know, it's built on the legacy of like, you know, spoken word poets and poets that like came on there first, like set the baseline for like what the show was supposed to be, and then you had all those iconic like hip hop and R&B artists coming on and doing their thing.
Because there was an element of speaking from the community or people from the community who are just going to speak their mind.
Absolutely.
And how it is, like, okay, no,
absolutely.
We're definitely going to check it out.
Yeah.
It's dope answer.
Yeah, and then when you do, you got to let me know what you think.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, definitely will.
Kind of wish you answered last, actually. Because
so
I've been listening.
You know what? You're going to be last. I've been listening to Evidence, Unlearning. Yeah, there's evidence. There's not much to say except for, remember I told you the past couple of weeks, my feet just started sleeping and sliding, but I'm getting the rhythm back.
Hey.
And the other day, this song came through. I was like, you know what? Unlearning and learning. There's appreciation and gratitude in that process. Because once again, is it going to be process or... anyway, sorry, not thinking of the title.
Is that a new song you heard, or is that like an old song that that came to you again?
It's a semi-new, but old because I've heard it before.
Yeah.
But like for me, I feel like sometimes the music, it sounds a little differently depending on my mood and where my spirit is at.
Yes.
So
I feel that too.
I liked it at the time. I thought, ooh, dope song. But maybe yesterday and today, it resonated a little differently.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, like I said, based on me,
I'll give you some artists I'm listening to after Katie answers as well, just so then you've got like a typical music thing. Yeah. But not tracks.
Okay. Okay, we can do that.
So Evidence, Unlearning.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a dope track. I'm not going to be as articulated as you were in terms of giving the answer, but the first part is woke up today. and it goes on to other words. But it's quite nice.
Love that.
Yeah.
Nice. We'll pop all of these onto our playlist, which right now is, have you listened to that playlist?
No, not
It is all over the place.
Yeah, I listened to it.
Like you can't feel any sort of
whirlwind
weight.
of
It's
emotions.
everywhere. Like
Yeah.
it's beautifully so. It's everywhere, which is just lovely because we spoke to so many lovely souls listening to so many things. So it's just loads of ears in a playlist. Mine is Aphex Twin. I've listened to a lot of Aphex Twin at the minute. Just 7 is the name of the track. So I'm doing 36 Days of Type. Done up A to Z. Yeah, it's been long. I've done A to Z. Thank you so much.
Rate the
Pause
consistency,
there.
Because I remember when it started, we were all sitting here with the pen and paper. So what song?
We made a playlist together. It was lovely.
Yeah.
So A to Z is done. 0 to 3 is done now. So now I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then I'm done with the animations for the rest of my life. But the song, the song that I chose for number 7, I didn't like at all. So I was looking number 7. None of us could pick one. Someone said 7 Days by Craig David.
Craig David.
And I just thought it was
sorry, I don't know why I said that. Sorry, I don't. Sorry, Craig.
So it was like so the song was 777, some Bruno Mars song. Sorry, Bruno, like he's watching. Or 7 Days, and then I just thought, okay, no. This is a long story, but I'll cut it short. Bought some comics the other day, last weekend.
Oh, what you buy?
So I read so many comments. But is it S? It needs to start with number 7. This is the rule. Bought some comics the other day.
Now. No,
I
I'm
know.
joking.
That's my rule. Bought some comics, read some comics, sat on the sofa. It was chilling. Needed background noise. Put on some Aphex Twin. Just got a bit crazy. It was lovely, lovely. Then I was listening to this song and I was like, this song so the song's called 7, just the number 7.
Yeah.
And I was listening to it and it's really like, it's the most loopy song. It's like 7 minutes of this weird, I don't know how to feel at all. Like it kind of made me really upset, but also really like optimistic. And then it also made me feel kind of
that
like,
track in particular.
7.
Wow.
And I was
And
listening.
there's something about the number 7 itself.
Yeah.
But go on.
But I was reading this comic and then I had to pause and I was like, what am I actually listening to? Because it felt like it'd been on for an hour. Just this looping sound. And then I checked and I was like, oh, it's 7. But I didn't even put it on. So it found me. So that's become the new 7 to replace the 7 from the 36 Days of Type.
It chose itself.
That's the one song on that playlist that I wasn't happy with.
Yeah.
Was what number 7 was. Because it was way too punchy. You'd have to animate really quickly. And then this song found me.
Like,
really
like that
cool.
sometimes.
It was
lovely.
lovely. It was a lovely moment.
That was a special moment.
Yeah, it was really cool because I was like, no way.
No, but also that's like it's the awareness because like and not knowing mind or if you're not necessarily in tune, you would have been, what is this? Don't even pay no mind. Next.
Yes.
But really being present, like, wait, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Oh, 7, wow. Okay.
just
Glad you find it like that.
That's what
so
let
it
you
took me
listen to it for that
ages.
long.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the new track.
I love that.
It's going to make this playlist really weird, but that's where we're at. So yeah.
That's fire.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. That's sick.
Give us your artist.
So she's old school, Angela Winbush. She's from the 80s.
Yeah.
Only heard her like a month ago.
Yeah.
But they're bangers. And there's also like, what's it? It's Angela Winbush, but then she's also like, she was a part of a duo called Renee and Angela, I think.
Okay.
And it is like proper like R&B soul ballads, which are cheesy, but they're so good. The vocals on them are amazing.
Yeah.
And the orchestration on them is so good.
Tight.
Yeah, and then obviously Sade.
Sade, she's the queen anyway.
Queen.
Like, that's.
I mean, I specifically Cherish the Day is amazing as well. I've had that on rotation quite a lot recently. I went through Ari Lennox's discography.
She's good as well. Ari, she's...
That's very, very late coming to...
You sent me New Apartment by Ari Lennox when I first moved in.
I did. I just thought, no, this has to be you while you moving in, sorting it out, New Apartment.
You gifted me that track.
Yeah.
It's like...
amazing, because again, I'm like slow to new artists.
Yeah, Ari Lennox is amazing.
She's incredible. And she's
Have
got
you
such a great sense of
seen,
humor.
weirdly, I don't know what the podcast is, but there's a podcast where, and I've only seen this snippet on Instagram, where they got some artists to sing, to rap along to the lyrics of a kid's book.
Right.
Have you seen it?
No.
So like Jid's on it. There's loads of people are on it. And I can't remember what oh my God, I'm butchering this story. It's ridiculous. But Ari Lennox sings her book. And it's the most beautiful. It's the most beautiful sound. Her voice is amazing.
Yeah, she really does.
So she sings this kid's book, and I could have cried. Anyway, yeah, love you, Ari.
She's amazing.
She's amazing.
I love her personality too. I've seen her in some interviews and that.
Yeah.
And that was what convinced me, ironically, to listen to her music.
Yeah.
Before I even.
Like, how is this person outside of the space of the art? Like, are they relatable?
But then people had always said like she's an incredible vocalist, and I was like.
Is she nice though?
Like what is she? Is she human though? Like, is she human? Sorry, I don't mean like
it's
certain
true,
people are humans, or aliens or whatever.
That's it.
But
is she part of the
yeah. She sold her soul. Oh, she's still got a soul. Yeah.
So there was that, and then the new Kendrick album as well, and that was an interesting one as well because I remember the first time I heard that, I hated it. I hated the sound of it. Damn. And it was just so painful to listen to.
And it just in Zen, because I just thought, it's my Zen music. And it just in Zen, like, whoa, is he talking to me?
He's going to
But then there was a moment that I listened to at a very specific time with a very specific feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I wasn't listening to the music or how it sounded. I was just listening to the lyrics.
Yeah, what's he saying?
Yeah, and literally, I didn't skip a single track. And I just listened to it with my head in my hands. The entire album.
Wow,
and it just felt like a mini therapy session.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, you're really talking to me right now.
Yeah.
And then that just became like immediately back in the rotation.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say mini therapy session. He took me to therapy. The whole album was therapeutic in a way which is not the way that you would think. You know, when you say something's therapeutic, you think it's soft and it's like, oh, it's calm.
I think this is therapeutic.
It's like Nate talking about articulation. Like he's articulating feelings that I didn't even know how to articulate in that moment.
And he's telling stories that I've never heard anyone really tell.
And I was like, you just basically like process all my emotions. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't need to do that now.
Amazing.
I'm good now. Thank you.
I'll just listen to this again when I need to like figure out what I'm going through. Yeah.
I kind of loved that you hated it. And then it became this bigger thing.
Because I was listening to the sound of it and I was like, oh, I can't like vibe to this.
No, sit down and digest it. It's marinate.
So it's one of those.
What a lovely eclectic mix. Okay.
Should we? No, sorry, you just reminded me. We actually did, before we started officially doing this, we did an episode whereby we're actually reviewing the Kendrick Lamar album. We actually reviewed that. It's actually sitting in the
3 hours.
Yes, sorry. Yeah,
like a 3-hour conversation about the album. We went through song after song after song, and we dissected.
Is that an episode?
No.
No, we recorded. It's sitting in my hard drive. It was before all this, and I guess I was still battling some sort of insecurities because I guess
maybe
I went through
put
that.
it. I'm joking.
No, don't put the pressure on anyone. But I feel like I have to. I want to feel like I want to do this.
Yeah, because there's a lot of golden nuggets in that episode.
Yeah. One day we're gonna drop it, but like the album dropped 2 years ago, a year ago, so it's like.
No, we can still drop it.
It's still
for ourselves.
It's still a fresh album.
Yeah.
To be fair, it is a timeless album, so that's one thing about it. It's like
and
even if you go back to
weirdly a divisive album. Some people really don't like it.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting in itself.
But again, that's what you got to do as an artist. You got to pivot.
Yeah.
So you gave us something different.
Yeah. Just don't pivot like scissor. Sorry. That's
I'm
a hate. I'm not hating.
No, so we're not going to hate before.
Scissor. No.
Don't say anything incriminating.
At all. There was just certain elements of the certain album that I was just give me certain feelings of the certain way.
I listened to one song. I just couldn't.
Taylor Swift.
I couldn't find myself typing scissor on my phone to actually go to it. Like, I just heard it on something like, who's that? That sounds like scissor. Is it? Oh. What did you do? I just couldn't.
She pivoted too hard. Past it. But for another time.
Is fire,
oh yeah.
Scissor is incredible.
It's really eclectic.
She tried to appeal to this mass market, which I totally understand. I totally understand why you would do that. But let's not go off on a tangent. Before we start for another hour. But no, Mo, if I can call you that.
No, you can't.
Damn, I offended you at the end.
Like I said in the beginning. 2 syllables, 4 letters in English, 3 in Arabic.
Yeah, okay, cool. Muiz.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah, sorry, I got too comfortable.
You can call me Mo if I can call you T. Which I don't want to do. I shouldn't have opened that up. You can't call me Mo.
Okay.
Please.
Fine. No, that's fine. No, and I'm glad that happened. Not because I wanted to offend you, but I'm glad that you actually happened because,
Yeah, of course. I mean, look.
To iron that out. Yeah.
It's like, nah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Oh, and
No.
Yes.
Stunning.
Yeah, I appreciate it. But no, man, for real though, thanks for joining us. It was real. And like I said,
Thank you for coming.
I guess it's part of the SLAN community. It's nice to meet people like yourselves. It's dope. It's dope. I like your brain chemistry. So yeah, we're gonna do this again.
Yeah,
Katie?
for sure. Thank you for breaking bread with us too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for feeding me.
Of course, I am Grandma Jones. I will feed everyone. I swear to God.
But yes, no,
Yeah.
thank you very much for real. And sorry for offending you if I have.
No, of course you're not. Of course you're not.
No, I was like, I think my intentions are good. But
You know, if you don't ask, what did we just say before about social media?
True.
Right?
It's good to communicate.
He's gonna walk off without saying goodbye, but
Oh yeah, I've done that.
you've done that before. Leave me.
Peace. All right, no, for real. Thanks for joining us.